Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And in this case, we're honored to be with Jeff Trotter. He's the president and CEO of Bend Dxnt Break. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's a pleasure to be here with you, man.
Absolutely. So love what you're doing. And when you talk about Bend Dxnt Break, the inspiration, there's clothing, there's a lot to unpack, but let's start with a little bit of your personal backstory and what led you to launch Bend Dxnt Break. So give us a little bit of your background.
Yeah, man. I'm just a kid from College Park. I'm from College Park, Georgia. I've been living here in Memphis, Tennessee for close to 15 years now. I came here to do inner city ministry. I was working with the Memphis Athletic Ministries. And after working in the mentoring space with MAM for so long, I continued on and moved from parachurch ministry into church ministry. But yeah, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, man.
Well, and Memphis is now your home. And I love the fact that you're pouring into youth. And when you talk about faith and sports and youth development, mentorship, education, a lot combines in your world. And so talk about launching Bend Dxnt Break.
Yeah. Honestly, Jeremy, it started out as a music project. I was trying to find a way to speak the language that the kids could understand, and I would take, these high octane pastoral messages and try to break them down into layman's terms and put them in rap songs because I was trying to reach the kids, in a form that was, palatable for them. And I asked the kids, hey, what should I name my project? And I gave them 3 different names, and one of the kids chose Bend Dxnt Break. Now, the reason Bend Dxnt Break was even on the list in the first place is because I was going through a lot in my life at the time, and I felt like God was telling me to bend my knees in prayer and to not give up, not to break down and lose hope. So I reached out to the guys. They chose Bend Dxnt Break. But after choosing that name, it was the response that I was getting from people and their feedback and their stories and their testimonies about what that message was saying to them that made me say, I think this is bigger than just some mixtape project in my music. It seems like it's something else here. So yeah, that's how I chose the name, is through some of my students.
And when you look at the spelling, instead of the O, there's an X. And so talk about the significance of that. Yeah. What's the significance there?
Well, just don't give up. Well, one, when you're trying to trademark and patent things, Bend Dxnt Break with the O, everybody says that, right? So it was the X that gave me my uniqueness for me to be able to have it for myself and for what I was doing. But the X just reminded me of not giving up. So I put an X there, to stand for not giving up.
Absolutely. So talk about when you talk about kind of, going from music to now the evolution of everything that is Bend Dxnt Break. And we'll talk about a summit coming up as well. There's a lot to this. So talk about the clothing, the hoodies, there's a lot. So go ahead and dive in.
Yeah. So with that music project, I didn't want to wear big name brands because I didn't feel like they were paying me. So I was going around to different organizations, youth ministries, and outreach programs, sharing the music and the songs that I had written. And I would wear this hoodie. Well, people would come back with stories about hardships and trials that they were going through. And I said, man, this is bigger than just my project. So Bend Dxnt Break became a ministry point for me to talk to people, whether I was in the airport or at a bus station or anywhere. People would ask about the hoodie. So I started making hoodies, and then I just started selling hoodies. And after selling hoodies, I said, man, what else can I sell? So I started making backpacks and, all of these different accessories and continuing to grow the brand. And to the point where I bit up enough nerve to make my own shoe. So I made a shoe. And we landed an article in GQ magazine, which is beyond me. It still blows my mind to this day because that's an international publication. That this little brand that I started in South Memphis makes it all the way to GQ. So blew my mind. But yeah, man. So I have Bend Dxnt Break and Bend Dxnt Break Sport. So one side will be more business casual. I want to teach the guys how to do both. You can do your business casual thing. And then you can also wear the more athletic leisure type stuff as well. So that's where we're moving as far as the clothes go. But Bend Dxnt Break is also where I took the LLC and held that for my business, but I said I want to start a nonprofit so I could continue to invest in the guys on the mentoring side. So that's where I have my youth sports programs and my prison outreach is with the Bend Dxnt Break Foundation. So it's a twofold thing there.
Absolutely. Well, and it gives it the higher purpose, the platform. And so let's go ahead and dive into the summit. Let's start, though, by talking about why. So why create this summit? You've got some big names coming to Memphis. There's even some sports and recreation and flag football there, too. So a lot, of cool components. But talk about why you're creating and launching and bringing this summit to Memphis.
Yeah, man. I'll give you a little bit on that. For one, you live in Memphis, so you know very well the things that we've been through just in the last year. Between Eliza Fletcher's situation, we've had the Collierville shooting, the shootings that happen on a daily basis, in different communities. The Tyree Nichols situation, even right now, and Ezekiel Kelly, and that rampage. So the city of Memphis, Tennessee has been traumatized. And the thing about trauma is that it doesn't heal on its own. It doesn't just get better if you leave it alone and sweep it under the rug. You have to process these things. And I felt like it would be a great time for us to have our mental health care professionals to come around and present more opportunities for people to connect and to have a landing strip. With me partnering with Hope Church. Hope Church is in the suburbs. A lot of the kids that I had in the inner city don't have therapists. They don't have resources to go to therapy and pay $150, every session. So I'm saying, how can I scale what I'm doing with Bend Dxnt Break and put something out there on the platform for them to be able to come and receive these vitamins for their mind, body, and soul, and the same type of teaching and the things that I was getting that's been helping me as a man. So the summit, yeah, that's part of it, is just the trauma that we've been through here in Memphis. Another thing that I've been looking at is I listen to some of the music that my guys listen to. And as I'm listening to the music and the popular culture and I hear the messages of the songs, I was telling somebody this the other day, there was a generation of guys in the hip hop industry that made a landslide of wealth off of propagating selling drugs. But then after that generation, you had guys who were rapping about being on the drugs. And nowadays, the new generation is the generation that's crying out and talking about all the pain, the anxiety, the frustration, the anger and the blow-ups that they're having, I think, as a result of doing those drugs and being raised by people that were doing drugs. So I heard a lot of crying out when I was trying to get a pulse on the culture. And I felt like this would be a good opportunity to try to answer that call.
That's really interesting, kind of introspection in terms of the music and that flow of talking about drugs, then what it does in terms of being on the drugs, and then the devastation and the aftermath. Really interesting that I've never even thought about it in that term, but that's powerful. But it also paints the picture of all the things that our youth are dealing with. And like you said, when you look at the trauma that literally is all around us, I think it really is important what you're doing of bringing these healing opportunities to our city. And so talk about the dates, talk about the logistics, talk about the big names coming to Memphis.
Yeah, man. So I reached out to a buddy of mine. His name is Adam Pacman Jones. So Pacman, I said, Pac, I need some help with Memphis. And he said, I got you. There was no question in his mind. He said, I got you. And I've been knowing him, he's a childhood friend since maybe about the 6th grade. And the first time I met him, we got in a fight, by the way. So Pacman was, he was the Dennis Rodman of the NFL. He was a troublemaker himself. But I said, you know what? This guy has been through poverty. He's been through all types of struggles. He's been through fatherlessness. He's been through, losing his own mother. And he can connect with these guys on a different level and empathize with them. So I chose him to help get butts around what we're doing, put butts in the seats, so to say. And he said, man, I got you. I'm going to invite LenDale White and Chris Johnson, CJ2K, arguably one of the greatest running back duos in the game to play. A lot of people know them as the renowned smash and dash of the Tennessee Titans, so they're coming. We have some therapists, and my wife, actually, she's a registered nurse and a registered dietitian. She's going to talk about healthy relationships with food. A lot of athletes don't transition from having a high octane, like a diesel engine fuel, where they're eating this food because they're playing football. They don't transition well into normal life. So she's going to be talking about healthy relationships with food. We have Frederick Gillum of Aesthetic Life Counseling. He's going to talk about what that looks like as far as the mind and the soul. And C.L. Shepard. Everybody knows him as Shep. Shep played for the Green Bay Packers. And, man, he is a phenomenal speaker, one of the most prolific speakers that I know. I have video of him speaking with Coach Smart in the University of Georgia Bulldogs before they won the championship last year. And as they won this year, he talks to all the major football programs, and he brings that fire to the team that you need right before they go out into the field from the huddle. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited for the city, and it's a blessing to be used just to put something like this together.
You're smart in the way you're going about it in terms of bringing in some big names that are going to be the draw, but then holistically wrapping it around with the experts, the specialists, the mental therapist and the dietitian. Like let's really then pour in as an opportunity to really engage and enrich. And like I said before too, focus on the healing. What do you hope that attendees take away from the experience?
Mm-hmm. I really hope that they find a way to process and to reevaluate life and make choices that help break some of the generational issues that they've seen in their families, whether that's, bad eating habits or the drug and the alcohol and substance abuse, or even if people are dealing with, any type of violence. A lot of the kids have been through adverse childhood experiences, and they don't have a place to verbalize this and to process it or to even understand what's going on. So I hope they hear some great messages, but I hope the application is, hey, there are vendors here, from different counseling services, that you can talk to today and get help. That you're not alone. It's okay if you're not okay. It's perfectly normal to not be okay where you are. Like I said, Memphis has been going through a lot. So I just want to, put it on the platter and put it right before them for them to have a choice to seek healing and to process these things.
Talk about the website, where we can go to get more information, get tickets. That's important, obviously. So talk about that piece and then carry that into there's opportunities to engage the next day too. You've got flag football. You've got a lot of other things going on. So carry that seminar even forward from there.
Right. So my website is BendDxntBreak.com. So that's DXNT is the way we spell don't. So Bend, don't with an X. break.com. You can purchase tickets on eventbrite.com. So you just search BXB and you can get the ticket package on eventbrite.com. And like I said, March 3rd is the summit. March 4th is a citywide flag football tournament. I'm partnering with a good buddy of mine named Mike Mosby. He's a coach down at South Haven, and he partners with the NFL and their flag football league. So this tournament is going to be juicy, man. We get some schools from all over the city. Brent, may the best man win. Get your team together. Y'all guys be ready, man. We giving out hardware at the end of it. So, if you got skills, come showcase your skills. And I think it's a good precursor to the season because usually teams are starting spring training in March, right after spring break, and then in April. The Memphis Showboats have just come to town, and their season opener is in April. So if anybody from the Memphis Showboat sees this, I think it'll be great to have you guys engaging in the community with these young stallions, with these young bucks that are getting ready to roll for their seasons, man. It'll be great for you all to show up and partner in some way, shape, form, and fashion. We need you, not just these NFL cats, you know what I mean? We need you guys, that are out there, the blue collar, hard working guys, man. We need y'all, and we would love to get to meet you before your season opener. But yeah, so it's a good precursor for the coaches to invest in the players mentally and not just physically all the time, where they're hitting the ground running. Invest in them mentally. Football is actually probably more mental than it is physical because your body takes a beating. And if you're not prepared mentally, man, that's going to be a long season. I'm telling you, it's going to be a long season. So yeah, it seems to be placed in a perfect spot.
How has this work changed you? And when you look at Bend Don't Break, the symbolism there, like you said, bending on your knees, so the faith side of this, but also the perseverance. How has this changed your perspective on your ability to influence, pour in, have a higher purpose, lift our youth?
Yeah. To be honest, Jeremy, there were plenty of times where I wanted to give up on this thing. I recently lost 3 buddies in a plane crash. I don't know if you heard about that in the news with Harvest Church. Those were friends of mine. So I text Pastor Ken and Vaughn, and I told Ken and I was thinking about pulling up, and giving up, man. But something about the lives that those guys lived pushed me to say, no, I need to push this all the more, because of what's really important and what our lives being short. We don't know the day and the time. So it's caused me to have to bend and not break, to keep going, as a message of resilience, to not put all of this on my own shoulders, but to understand that if I really believe in what I'm doing, I wouldn't have a problem of asking and pulling people in and delegating and pushing it out there, because I know what it means and what it would do for the community at large. So yeah, there were times where I wanted to break, when I was trying to do everything myself. But the more that I see the mission for the people and for the city of Memphis, it makes me get back up. I pop right back up and I keep going.
That's awesome. You've mentioned it before. Go ahead and mention it again. But the website, where do we go to learn more about Bend Don't Break? Where do we go to get involved with the summit, the flag football? Where do we go?
BendDxntBreak.com. That's our merch site. So Bend Don't Break, don't with an X. And Eventbrite.com, BXB.
Love it. You make it easy. You're doing so much good. Jeff Trotter, thank you for all you do. You and your amazing team. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, man. It's an honor.